Hello and welcome to the trade setup. In this video we are looking at quantum computing. It is time for another update, and on this chart we have been focusing on the structure from this low in 2024, in July, where we have managed to start a very nice push to the upside. Now, without looking too much within the large time frame, where we may have a wave 1, we may have a wave A, doesn't really matter at this point, we are still focusing within the smaller time frame where we may have an initial 5-wave move to the upside within the internal structure. So for the full context, here within this structure we have a potential 1-2 setup and a wave 3 that could theoretically be complete. Now, if I'm being honest, I would probably even prefer that we would still be within this wave 3 to the upside and we would still be looking for continuation to higher prices within it, but we wanted to provide the last level of support we could extract for continuation to higher prices from this wave 4 correction, and for that we provided the $3.8 level. Now, since within this structure, since within this wave 4 correction, we have already extended so much. If we were to get a reset of the wave 4, meaning that we form a new low in this correction, I would very likely consider that the entire structure is rather failing, and I would have to resign the bullish pattern and even the probabilities for continuation to higher prices. So, to be clear, we would like to see an extension of this wave 3 to be ongoing within this area, where internally I would be looking for an impulse to unfold in even more than one scenarios. Yeah, it is possible within multiple structures to actually track this, but probably something like a series of 1-2 setups within this area, and then this as a wave 3 to the upside, a wave 4 correction, and now a wave 5 that would be unfolding. Well, this would have actually extremely bullish implications, because within this wave 5, we have an initial 5-wave move to the upside, which is suggesting with high probabilities that after a 3-wave correction into our area of support, we would expect with high probabilities continuation within at least another 5-wave move to the upside. Now, this actually has a bit of an issue ongoing, because in the internal structure, while we have been identifying this as a wave 1 up and a wave 2 down, we even have an area of support down to the $6.4 level, but we have the possibility to extend to even lower prices at this point, because we haven't bottomed within a 3-wave pattern into our area of support. So within the smaller time frame, we have been identifying here a potential A, B, C structure that could have very easily actually formed the wave 2 low and would have allowed us to extend to higher prices. Now, we have gotten quite a serious extension since the previous video, and we have been tracking this idea within this orange interpretation, where we would instead consider this to potentially form an initial 5-wave pattern to the downside, which would suggest that after a 3-wave correction into an area of resistance, we would be looking with high probabilities for continuation within at least another 5-wave move to the downside to even lower prices. Now, does this need to unfold in this manner? Well, of course not, clearly not, but it's certainly a risk. If we form an initial 5-wave move to the downside within this area, we would have actually very good chances of breaking the area of support that we have down to the $6.4 after our correction within the next wave to the downside, which would make us extremely vulnerable for this entire structure failing. And unless we manage to create a 5-wave pattern within this area so we can track a different count more reliably, we will need other types of evidence that would allow us to look with high probabilities for continuation to higher prices once again. Now, the larger time frame structure, the larger time frame area of support down to the $6.4 level still remains. We can still consider this to be a potential accumulation area, but we do start to see some initial warning signs, as within this wave 4 we have pushed basically perfectly into the 38.2% retracement, which is the ideal target. We didn't manage to get here an extension to perhaps build something like a larger A, B, C pattern, and it's just another tiny hint that this would indeed be forming as a 5th wave to the downside. Now, before we move into our expectations for this structure based on the current developments, on the latest developments, I wanted to briefly mention our channel newsletter where you get access to our monthly top picks, where we identify for you those high quality structures that are just so valuable in creating a plan because they tell you the levels, the areas where you can start looking for positions without overthinking it, without letting emotions overcome you, and the levels that you know must hold for this structure to actually still have good probabilities for continuation to the next targets. So yeah, you will get access to our list. You will be able to follow them along with us on YouTube. We will be discussing those stocks, those assets in more details in our videos as we go along and develop them even further. Now, the link for sign up is in the description. It is completely free, but if you enjoy our content and you want to support us, you can check out our channel membership. The link for that is in the description as well, or you can click the join button and you will get access to additional content. Now, if you want to learn more about our membership or our newsletter, you can check out our channel update video where we go into more details about all what you can expect from us for now and for the future. And it's really a short watch, just a 5 minute, it's on the channel page. But now let's go back to the chart. So here within this structure, as I was saying, we would like to see an ABC pattern unfold within this area because it would allow us to more clearly determine that this structure is not going to have strong probabilities in forming another low. Because within this orange interpretation, I am tracking a leading diagonal. Yeah, I only have a 3-wave pattern within a wave 1. I only have a 3-wave pattern within a wave 3. And so far, I only have a 3-wave pattern within a wave 5. So at this point, within this wave 5, I wouldn't even expect additional extensions to lower prices. I wouldn't be opposed to it. It is certainly possible, especially since within this latest push to the downside, it has been rather weak. We have barely formed a lower low today. But from a zoomed out perspective, it's really not necessary, and I could already start looking for the larger 3-wave correction. Now, this idea of a reversal might come in useful in the scenario where this would instead unfold as a WXY structure, which is certainly a possible interpretation, but at this point there is still the risk of having an initial 5-wave pattern to the downside, which wouldn't allow me to consider with high probabilities that we are going to form a bottom and reverse in the wave 3 if we don't complete a more clearly defined ABC structure within this area. So, in a separate scenario, I will be tracking here in yellow this idea of a wave C, where I would be looking still for another low before considering a more substantial bottom to be in place, and I will be tracking this idea within an ending diagonal in this wave C, and within this structure I would be looking for potentially the wave 4 to have already started, watching the levels of resistance between the $8.7 all the way up to the $10.8. If we now break above the $10.8, the last level of resistance for this wave 4 in yellow, I would have to strongly assume that a more substantial bottom would be in place. Now, that is not a guarantee, but I would be focused on the larger area of resistance instead, where we might have an initial 5-wave move to the downside in place in this orange interpretation, where let's say we could be forming a larger ABC structure. And for this area, we are watching the levels between the $12.1 all the way up to the $20 level. And as long as we don't break the 78.6% retracement, now at this point there is still actually a very good chance we will extend to lower prices within this area. As I was saying, this latest movement is still quite weak at this point, but I wouldn't overthink it. From a larger time frame perspective, we have an initial 5-wave move to the downside. There is substantial risk to look for a 3-wave correction and then extension for at least another 5-wave move to the downside. If we build, however, a 5-wave pattern in this yellow structure, we would not be able to identify an initial 5-wave move to the downside, which would allow us to look more likely for a wave 2 bottom in the white structure to be in place in such a scenario. Now, the ideal target for the wave C in yellow sits here at the 100% extension of the wave A, and that is way beyond the last level of support. It is at the $5 level, but we certainly don't need to get there. And for example, reaching and touching the 78.6% extension is right below our last level of support, but a quick wick into this area would not even impose a problem. Now, as I was saying, I wouldn't look too much into this smaller time frame area, and I can provide you the idea that perhaps this is within a wave C as a 1, 2, 3, 4, and a 5. I could see that unfolding, and within this fifth wave we may be building something along the lines of an A, B, C structure, but I wouldn't look further than this into the internal structure. It is within a very small time frame, and the overall pattern, the overall structure is corrective within this area, which will not provide us the most clear indications. And for now, there isn't much else to add. These are the levels, this is the trade setup. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, don't forget to subscribe and let me know what else you want me to cover, and I'll do my best to do that in the days and weeks ahead. And until then, I hope you have a nice day, and I hope to see you in the next video. So, just a quick recap. Yes, we are in an accumulation area, but mind the risk. It is your choice what you do within this position. I still see this white area of support down at the $6.4 level highly interesting, and even if it doesn't succeed in building a wave C to the downside in this area, and we build a wave B in the orange structure, there is still a lot of potential, and this is made that much more interesting by having this white area of support, because we don't need to know the exact internal count. We don't need to be trading the count. We can trade the area of support because it defines for us clear levels where the probabilities strongly shift. But yeah, this is it for now, and if you enjoyed the video, don't forget to leave a like, and if you want to help us out, you could be looking into our channel membership. But for now, this is it. Have a nice day, and bye bye.